My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. To support this YouTube channel, go to my Patreon link below, buy my latest book, The Awan Brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I explain everything there is to know about the ongoing cover-up from possibly California's Attorney General Javier Becerra when asked by law enforcement to help with the Awan probe of 2 indicted staffers and a team of IT staffers who are accused of massive data transfer violations from House while working with House Democrats who are on the House Intelligence Committee, NSA, cybersecurity committees. Then Congressman Becerra did not give the server that he was asked to give. He gave a falsified copy. There's Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the leader of all of this, paying $5 million and overseeing procurement fraud, hundreds and thousands, possibly millions in stolen or missing electronics. But I go into all of that. The book is below. It's book 3 in the But Her email series. The first one is But Her top secret emails. Second is But Her deleted emails. Today at 6 p.m. Pacific, so a little over an hour, I will be speaking with Hard Bastard on his channel about my new book, The Awan Brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This is why I do not hate Donald Trump. I needed to. It says everything you need to know about democratic politics and America today. Why a person like me who has written 100 articles in the Hill, the Huffington Post, and Salon, have been on CNN, MSNBC, RT. I've been on RT 6 times. I've been on CNN 4 times, MSNBC twice, talking about, well, once on MSNBC, but all the rest of the appearances talking about why Bernie Sanders is a much better choice than Hillary Clinton, and that if you feared Trump, you better pick Bernie. This was in 2015, 2016. The reason I don't hate Trump, it pertains to actually a brilliant discussion by Tim Black and Caitlin Johnston on Tim Black's channel. So subscribe to Tim Black. Do so right now. He is a great friend of mine. He is first and foremost a friend, and then a colleague in this political arena. So I consider him a great friend first and foremost. They talked about a lot of things. Caitlin Johnston was attacked viciously by a whole bunch of identity politics people for not disavowing any relationships with conservatives or people deemed alt-right, simply for the notion of perhaps teaming up with a conservative or somebody on the right for a value system that they agree on, whether it's anti-war or marijuana legalization or prison reform or whatever. That's a great discussion. One of the things they talked about, Tim Black and Caitlin Johnston, is that everyone has their voice. Everyone has their voice, and everyone's experience is different. And Tim actually brought up a great point that, hey, everyone has their voice, but also it's kind of selfish for somebody to kind of accuse another person of not being as indignant as they want that person to be. With me, I don't hate Trump because I know that he was elected because he defeated a very corrupt Democratic Party that cheated its most progressive candidate. Trump's policies are, by and large, conservative and Republican policies. He didn't invent the notion of a border wall. This was talked about for a long time on conservative radio, among conservative politicians. He didn't invent suddenly the notion of an immigrant ban. Likewise, like the border wall recently, before he was elected in recent years, people were talking about, quote-unquote, protecting the country from immigrants coming from nations that are war-torn, that have terrorism and all that, in large part, the way I see it, because of our foreign policy. Regardless, when you look at President Obama's role in creating a global refugee crisis by helping destroy Libya, this is the issue. This is why I don't hate Trump. Why do you have Trump imposing an immigrant ban or signing an executive order? Because there's a refugee crisis that was exacerbated by Obama, started under Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, the original sin of going into Iraq and Afghanistan for freedom and democracy, then creating untold havoc, chaos, madness, mayhem, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who were slaughtered and killed because of the quagmire that was created. Then you have Obama winning the Nobel Peace Prize and actually bombing more countries than Bush, and actually exacerbating the global refugee crisis, because Libya was a location in the world where refugees would stop before going to Europe. Once that became a failed state, and WikiLeaks and Julian Assange talked about this, once that became a failed state, then you have the global refugee crisis. So I don't hate Trump for the immigrant ban, even though I disagree with the immigrant ban. I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Jill Stein because I want our soldiers brought home. I don't want banks to be bigger than they were when they were bailed out. I want to break up banks. It's social. It actually is socialism to pump in $700 billion to save failed banks. That is socialism. You can't nationalize banks because they made poor decisions and committed fraud in all of these crimes they committed, and then they just write a check and say, oh, thank you, government. No. So that's why I loved Bernie Sanders too. But whether it's the refugee crisis that Obama helped exacerbate and that Trump is addressing from a conservative perspective, or the immigration crisis where he wants to build a wall. Yeah, I'm against the wall. But take two steps back if you're a Democrat who feels you're part of the resistance and you hate Trump and you just wonder why I don't spend every day of my life hating Trump like you do. Even though I disagree with an immigrant ban, well, why do you think, a wall, why do you think the wall is even a topic of discussion? There are people in the country who view undocumented immigrants as a threat to the country. They're not all racist. That vantage point is not purely a racist vantage point. There's an economic argument. I disagree with that. In The Hill, I wrote illegal immigrants benefit the U.S. economy. There are half of all the workers in agriculture in this country, over half, are undocumented immigrants. There's something like over 1 million undocumented immigrants in the agricultural sector. If you removed all 12 million or 11 million undocumented immigrants from the country, you would see the price of groceries increase. That's without a doubt. But aside from the debate, how long has it been since Democrats pushed for comprehensive immigration reform? The last time they really tried and failed was in 2013 and 2014. It's now, October 2017. They're focused only on Russia and blaming Russia without any direct evidence. The DNC was never hacked by Russia. And so I'm supposed to hate Trump for his conservative response to a problem that both Republicans and Democrats have yet to fix, but a problem that Democrats utilize as a boogeyman monster, saying, well, if you don't vote and fall in line and listen to CNN and the Young Turks and everybody else who just hates Trump, then Trump will hurt us. But that's exactly what took place. Trump implemented conservative policies because Democrats did not do their job. When I was in college, I worked briefly at the State Department, and I also was in Washington, D.C., and I was able to actually go to the CNN location there and actually speak to people there. And I spoke to people in Congress, and the prevailing mentality was that something like 60% of the time spent back then, we're talking 20 years ago, was spent raising money. It is now almost certainly 80%. So whereas people told me in media and lawmakers told me when I had the opportunity to ask them, well, how much time is spent actually fundraising? They said 60%. It's now a lot more. Fundraising is a much bigger issue. So what happens is the Democratic Party utilizes anger and frustration and, oh my God, did you see what Trump did? Meme, social media tweet, da-da-da. Now, there are people who genuinely come from a pure vantage point. When my good friend Tim Black attacks Trump, he does so from a pure vantage point because I know he's not beholden to any paradigm. He also attacks Democrats too. And when I say attacks, he goes after them. Not like certain people that I don't need to mention now, a whole litany of people that pay lip service to the Democrats, but at the end of the day, they're really beholden to Democrats. They don't really go after them the way they do Trump. They'll say they do, but they really don't. So there are people that actually are free of any paradigm. But I don't hate Trump because Trump is a product of a Democratic Party that manipulates, deceives, cheats, a Democratic Party that utilizes anger and frustration of voters for fundraising and for imposing Bill and Hillary Clinton's vision of politics. The reason I focus primarily on Bill and Hillary Clinton, even though I'm not a progressive anymore, but one of the reasons is that the Democratic Party is Bill and Hillary Clinton. It used to not be. It used to be something different. But it is an extension of Bill and Hillary Clinton's political influence that is still ongoing today. So when people say, I mean, it's 10 minutes, if you got through 10 minutes of this video, and people say, oh, HA, you're focusing on Hillary, she has no power. The only person with extreme power, the only two people are Bill and Hillary Clinton in the Democratic Party. They run the show. If you don't see that they run the show, then you're not really paying attention. From the Clinton Foundation to Bill and Hillary Clinton's stranglehold, you have $10 billion lost in Haiti. Lost. But nobody talks about it. If $100 million or if $20 million or if $2 million was stolen by Trump in Haiti or any other country, that would be front page news every single day. But that's how duplicitous and disingenuous the media is in the Democratic Party. You talk about white supremacy and white nationalism and racism. You have $10 billion from the country of Haiti missing. Who cares about that? I'm bringing it up every second I can. I wrote about it in Butthurt Deleted Emails. So that's the type of thing that outrages me. And it does outrage people on the left, but not everybody. I don't hate Trump because what I see from the Democratic side is far more corruption, far greater lies, an attack against the actual real progressives and voting base, the most enthusiastic of the base. There is no push to end wars. There is no push to bring home soldiers back from war. There is no push to break up banks. There's not even a discussion about banning fracking. In fact, one idiot moron wrote an article about me. He said, he doesn't talk about progressive issues. Only bringing home soldiers from war and banning fracking. That's not a progressive. Those aren't progressive issues. That's the mentality. The neoliberal warped mentality where let's be snarky on the internet, let's insult people on the internet or social media, and let's just focus only on Trump and forget about Hillary because she's old news, and hate Trump. Hating Trump, A, will not work to defeat him. B, for a person like me, I feel is useless because I warned people. And if you don't think that's enough to go ahead and write literally 100 articles. If anybody wants to do any research on my writing, look at my author page in Huffington Post. Look at the work that I've done in The Hill and Salon and other places. Okay, watch my appearances on CNN and MSNBC. As one person, I did the most I could to draw a line in the sand between Trump and Clinton, so you wouldn't have to draw a line in the sand between Trump and everyone else if you're listening to Eminem and everything. I draw a line in the sand, and you can go F yourself if you don't know where you stand. Well, I stood against Trump when it counted. It doesn't really count too much now because he's already in power, and everything he does manipulates the media. And that's another thing. This obsessive focus on Twitter and what he said on Twitter, it's completely irrelevant what Trump said on Twitter or what he did on Twitter. That's not relevant. The only people who make it relevant are people who publicize. Oh my God, did you see what he tweeted? Did you see what he said on Twitter? So, give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. I'm going to be on Hard Bastards channel in about an hour? 6 p.m. Pacific. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And, I mean, I can go on forever as to why I don't hate Trump. Just DMing Hard Bastard right now. And I have the great pleasure of DMing Elizabeth Voss, who is coming out with a really fantastic article and a review pertaining to Butthurt Top Secret. She already wrote one for Butthurt Top Secret, but the Allman Brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I'll probably do more of these segments, but I don't hate Trump. Trump is a Republican And if it's not Trump, it's Ted Cruz. And if it's not Trump, it's Romney, or somebody who is more diplomatic and does almost the same things or close to what Trump is doing. Most Republicans were against the Iran deal. Most Republicans wanted some kind of wall. Or have at least pandered to the notion of a wall. Most Republicans want every single policy that Trump wants. Most. They don't like the way the establishment of both parties don't like the way he communicates. Other than that, there's no emphasis by most people on the corruption within the DNC, and that's what I focus on. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere, especially with people who think that, like, I'm some kind of crazy person for not focusing only on Trump, even though I voted for Bernie Sanders and Joe Stein, but I'm not a progressive anymore. I don't even want to be part of that movement anymore. I'm just an independent thinker, a free thinker. Give me your thoughts below. Buy the book, but the L1 Scandal and Debbie Wasserman, the L1 Brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and I'll be on Hard Bastard's channel in about 1 hour, 6 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. Subscribe to Hard Bastard. Thank you so much for listening.